GT4 cars yesterday. More of the same coming up for our second 1 hour of action, with the start driver today being the driver who qualified the car and indeed who did that second closing stint yesterday. Pole position to the winners of yesterday's race, not because they won, but because of the time set by Robert Consonny. Benjamin Lariche, his co-driver, they were victorious yesterday, and the sister Audi at Team Speed car of Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit lining up alongside. Former rally man Robert Consonny there behind the wheel. Benjamin Lariche leans in with a bottle of water. Keeping drivers cool is going to be very important. You can see that cool vest that Benjamin Lariche is wearing. So this is the hot time for the driver in the car with no air coming through and getting hotter and hotter. Luc Ibanez from the NM Racing team, runner-up yesterday. He'll be a man to watch, a regular winner at Misano over the years. Alex Legui is on the grid for us. David Addison and Joe Osborne trackside, and a hot track it is, Joe, for this second 1 hour race of the weekend.
Yeah, track temp at 45 degrees already. That's almost the highest we've had this weekend. So the cars will be loose. And that elite McLaren at the back. It was pole position yesterday with Rattigan, but then they had the failure, didn't they, on the outlap with Cresswell, hence why he is starting last. Here's Paul Petit in the sister car to the pole position and the race winner. It was a completely new car after that huge Spa crash they had last time out. Don't look like they've quite had the pace of the sister car this weekend, which hasn't been the story of the season so far.
So let us quickly go to the grid before we get into the second race of the weekend. Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consonny on pole position. They had a win yesterday as well. It's a good weekend thus far.
Benjamin, here we are. You're looking very well. This is the best thing to be wearing for the temperatures. Here we are, pole position. Yesterday's race was absolutely brilliant. Ready to do it again?
Yeah, I hope finish the race, scores good points to improve or keep the good advance in the championship. Yes, we're starting pole position with our teammate Paul. So. Yes, cross finger about the first lap, and we'll see. I think the 17 is fast also. The BM are very fast on the tire degradation. So yes, we need to manage the tires, and we'll see what's happened and hope to score good points for the championship. Grazie mille.
Grazie mille.
Benjamin Lariche then, who will do the second stint in that pole position car. You've heard about 17 BMW. Benjamin Lecen starting. There it is, the white BMW on the second row as the drone hovers over the Julius Dinesen Aston Miller McLaren. Third row of the grid, the blue BMW Jagic Gedik. Behind him, the other blue BMW Gabriele Piana. Yesterday, Gedik and Ibrahim finished 6th, having started last on the grid, which was 38th. So a mega job done to scorch through the field.
Yeah, 32 places gained, and this car DNF yesterday, so Aston Miller didn't get a chance to drive, so he'll be trying to prove his point today.
There is Julius Dinesen looking in. Let's get back to the grid. Greg Gilbert is in number 8 Audi.
Paul, Greg, another hot one. You boys are having a really tricky few races, aren't you? Is it time for redemption?
Yes, it's time to score big points. Yeah, we lose too much points. We are far away to the leader. So yeah, we need now to score big points.
Look out for Team Speed car, but you know exactly what pace Lariche and Consani have. Do you guys think you have the pace against them?
Yes, to be honest, we are. Paul and me, we are the speed to fight with them. So yeah, we need to prove that we can compete to Robert and Benjamin.
Good. Best of luck, boys.
Thanks.
Greg Gilbert will do the second stint today. Paul Petit already into the car, and the grid is going to be cleared shortly. We are within 10 minutes of the formation lap starting. There's a quick car, the BMW that Benjamin Lecen starts, and Ricardo van der Ende takes over for L'Espace Bienvenue. Benjamin Lecen, the Belgian driver, yet to put his gloves on, trying to keep as cool as he possibly can. Blowers being used just to get some air circulated through the car. You have a look further back on the grid, more BMWs, Porsche Caymans looking resplendent. You've got McLaren on the grid, you've got the Ford Mustang as well of Eric Evans and Marco Signoretti that needs to fight back within the championship, having really lost out yesterday, struggled for pace. Mercedes AMG represented on this grid as well. We've touched on McLaren, there's the Toyota GR Supra, 5-minute board now being shown. And let us not forget the Lotus as well in Pro-Am, which has had a class class win this year. Stefano D'Este and Alberto Nasca starting. Had problems yesterday, though.
Yeah, early on as well, retired that car. Ginetta as well, just like Lotus, just a single entry from that manufacturer. They were strong and quick, but they went a lap down, didn't they? But they stuck with the leaders yesterday, and that BMW of Lucena, I think, lost a podium yesterday for the contact it did on the elite McLaren. Had to give the position back, by which point Piano had also got through, hadn't he, in the Boston Automotive BMW.
So everybody now being asked to leave the grid, go back to air conditioning, as you look down on the Ford Mustang there, number 1. That is the Michiel Haverans Nathan van Springel entry. Oh, we touched on Aston Martin as well, because it was one of those that won in the Pro-Am class yesterday for Stanislav Safronov and Alexander Weintraub. That's Alex Papadopoulos, runner-up yesterday. He's going to start 6th on the grid. The quick American driver who's been a winner here in the past, won here last season. So the grid is formed. Before we go racing, let us hear from the Indian actor Ajith Kumar, enjoying his racing this year in Europe.
Hello, Ajith. So, from Bollywood to GT4 yet again. Are you enjoying the season?
Thoroughly enjoying it. The car feels good. Lap timings are getting quicker. Looking forward to the race.
How tough is it being back here during a race such as strong as GT4?
Yeah, I think one of the most fiercely competed series in the world, and as you know, racing against some of the best talents in motorsports, learning a lot from them, and a lot of pro drivers on the grid. And as you all know, I'm the only solo driver doing the whole stint, so which technically means like I'm competing with 50, 60 drivers in a single event. So that gives me an opportunity to learn a lot, you know. I think that's the way to go about it.
And you're an action man. I mean, this is just a different kind of action show, right?
That's right. But I guess it's something I love to do, so I don't think of it that much, you know. Just I go with the flow. So.
Have a great race.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too.
Ajith Kumar, who, as he says, goes solo. He wants the track time to himself, so dispensation is made for the Tamil actor, who's done over 60 movies and counting. Further down the other end of the grid, you're looking at the Berke Bejla Gabriele Piana BMW, and it is going to be Gabriele who starts. Actually, it's a surprise, that's only on the 4th row of the grid, but Gabriele Piana, a man to watch. He's doing double duty this weekend, racing in GT3 and GT4.
Yeah, there's a hard transition to jump between such different cars, the GT3 Mercedes versus that BMW, lap time wise 10 seconds difference. So jumping between, not easy, but Piano's been very quick at times this season, so it hasn't been a massive issue for him thus far.
So the 1 minute board is when the engines will fire up. The leading car, as it is, will take them around on the formation lap, and there the team speed car Audis, plural, which is good to see, because the Audi last year of Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consani had become a bit of a lone wolf, but a second speed car entry brought in this year, and that's the replacement chassis. The original number 8 absolutely destroyed in that huge accident at Spa a few weeks ago. BMWs are plenty as well on this grid, as we've touched on all the different brands as well. So it is an all Audi front row. McLaren and BMW on the second row, and the 1 minute board is now shown. That means engines fire up, and so everybody leaves the grid. Those last engineers stay there purely to fire up the engine. The grid is complete, nobody missing, no gaps, nobody needing to start from the pit lane. So we've said it before in the GT4 European Series this year, it is wide open.
Yeah, it really is. Mechanics doing their final checks, but yeah, it's interesting with the Audi, isn't it? There's only 2 on the grid, and where are they? The front row.
Now, as far as the global GT4 European Series points are concerned, this is BMW ahead of Porsche, Toyota 3rd, Mercedes-AMG 4th, and McLaren in 5th. We have this great success of GT4 around the globe, so the manufacturers in GT4 being rewarded just as in GT3. 15-second board is now shown. The drone drops down there, you can see, underneath the gantry across the pit straight, and that will bring us some fabulous pictures, no doubt, of a very busy grid. Still doors are open as drivers try to get a bit of air in, bit of discussion between officials there. I'm
worried with that at McLaren, they've got someone still working on the car, so they're going to get a drive-through penalty for that. Indeed. Why is that car not started? But yeah, the McLaren is a hard door to drive, to close by yourself as a driver.
Looks like the Callum Davis, Charlie Hart car potentially from where it is situated. So question mark over number 812 that had a spin yesterday. Green flag shown then. That releases the cars now onto the formation lap. And there was another car a little bit further back with the door open. It might have been the Max Kronberg Porsche, but that's now closed. So everybody away. This is what the drone can see. Audi, and then BMW, which has jumped slightly ahead out of sequence of the Aston Miller McLaren, but down through turn 1. Real pinch point of the lap, that, the first sequence of corners. Number 48 is being told to go to the pit lane to adjust the regulation tyre pressure, but it is Robert Constantly on pole position with Paul Petit alongside Aston Miller and Benjamin Lecen next with Jagish Gedich and Alex Papadopoulos on the third row. Gabriele Piana is next with Jan Duran alongside him. Then Mark Kastelic and Ruben Del Sart come next ahead of Callum Davis. We've got a concern over him, possibly for that door being open still. Mechanic working. Thibaut Mojica is next ahead of Clement Seiler, and then Michael Loboda lining up next. Alberto Nasca a man to watch in the Lotus alongside Michael Haverantz, then Alexander Weintraub, winner yesterday in Pro-Am alongside David Kuhlmann. Cindy Goudet is next. They had a good run, her and Gabriele Yelkova in yesterday's race. Then Marco Signoretti, a man to watch with progress needing to be made. Anthony de Barn is next with Philippe Talamise Audi for company ahead of Nico Farrarin and then Joachim Balder. You've got Alessandro Tudiska next alongside Onda Erdem from Joachim Bolting and Bas Visser, and it is then Daniel Blickler and Tudor Tudoraci next on the grid. You then get to Daniel Nilsson alongside Mikael Brunhagen. Then it's the Keith Gatehouse driven Mercedes and Ajith Kumar alongside him. Paolo Maloney, who will have to go to the pits to sort out the tyre pressures next with Lucas Giuliano's BMW alongside. Mats Olsen comes next and Mackenzie Cresswell rounds out the grid.
Yeah, so tyre pressure's too low on the Maloney BMW there. Shame finished on the podium yesterday, didn't they, in class, and their local track being from San Marino.
Try it yourself.
I just wonder with that McLaren, it's a quirky door and sometimes the latch gets stuck open, so maybe when he's tried to close the door it hasn't closed and the mechanics had to go in and rectify that issue. That would be my guess why they were still working on the car.
So the cars now putting themselves into that side-by-side Noah's Ark formation, ready to get things underway then, and the cars now turn out of the hairpin as you go on board here in the number 54 Lotus PB Racing car. The PB Racing bit is Stefano D'Aste's Lotus preparation company, but it is Alberto Nasca who is going to start that car. They have been class winners this year, retired very early from yesterday's race. So then the Audi lockout at the front of the grid. They come now up towards the exit of turn 16. The leading car goes for the pit lane, the pace car as it has been. And our second 1 hour of racing, race 8 of the year in GT4 European Series, powered by Rafa Racing Club, ready to get underway. The lights will change now. Good getaway by Robert Constantly, and a good start also being made by Aston Miller to try to get up the inside of the green and grey Audi of Paul Petit, but he squeezes up the curb on the inside. That puts him on the wrong side for the next corner, and a good move by Benjamin Lecen. The road opened up for the BMW, and he's gone second, or has he? Because back up the curb on the inside comes Paul Petit. No, Lecen hangs on to it. Good racecraft, and then Paul Petit is under attack as well. Look, from the first of the Borusan BMWs round the outside, going up towards turns 4 and 5.
Yeah, Aston Miller I thought was going to get second, was too conservative trying to get past the Audi, and it was then Lecen who took the inside, and they're battling, and Petit has lost another position coming out of turn 6.
So now the cars accelerate down towards turn 8, and it is going to be Robert Constantly getting away a little bit from Benjamin Lecen. The BMWs are coming through nicely with, at the moment, Gabriele Piana, the better of the Borusan cars. So Piana's made a good start, and he's worked his way up into third place then, behind Lecen, ahead of Petit. There you've got Aston Miller dropping back a little bit into the clutches of Jagish Gedich, who was taking Alex Papadopoulos with him. Then the Toyota Supra look, the white and green Toyota in the hands of Jan Duran. Out wide goes Michael Loboda, and it is Constantly in the lead, trying to build that gap over the BMWs behind.
Yeah, and just looking down the field. The Ginetta leading its class at the moment from the Lotus. The Lotus easy to spot that bright yellow car. There is our class leader, the 51, and here we can see it from the 54 car. So this is the Pro-Am class, the green number background on your timing tower. The blue is silver, red is Am. So at the moment we've got the slower drivers in Pro-Am at the moment, but it is a one-car battle, isn't it? One long train there going through turn 14.
With Robert Consonny then at the head of that queue, and the drivers working their way up towards the end of the second lap of the race with number 19, the white Mercedes, and Mark Kastelic coming through behind Duran, who is behind Papadopoulos, who were way wide that time, coming over the timing line. So it is Consonny at the end of the opening lap from Lasserne ahead of Piana, Petit 4th, Miller 5th, Gedic 6th, Papadopoulos is 7th, Duran 8th, Kastelic 9th, Delsart 10th, and as the field then comes up through turns 1, 2 and 3, that first long S sequence, Consonny is not really getting away from the BMWs. Benjamin Lasserne pretty much staying with him as the whole field wriggles its way up towards turn 4 yet again. That's 54 Lotus. So Alberto Nasca 13th, and at the moment second in Pro-Am to the Ginetta. Look just up the road ahead.
Yeah, it looks like just got slightly more pace, able to pull away from the Lotus here. They're all weaving left to right. Looks like it maybe needs to defend. All cars have made it round the first lap. Mackenzie Cresswell in that yellow elite McLaren has made up 9 places from last place. As you can see, a battle going on there. The 74 Aston down the inside of the 99 Super with a big snap of oversteer. I think should about keep the place.
Let's see then, so heading up towards turn 9, big slide coming out of the Aston, David Coolman's car. Here's the battle on in the background look as Aston Miller tries to fend off Jagish Gedic. The BMW towering over the McLaren and goes around the outside. Gedic with a brave bit of driving here, stands his ground all the way through Curvoni at turn 11, through turn 12 into 13 now, and he's got the job done. Nice move by Jagish Gedic in that BMW.
Great move, really used the strength of that BMW to get round the outside of Aston Miller, and Miller hasn't had the best start here as he now down to 6th place, 3 places lost. Of course, he was on the back foot, no track time yesterday because of the damage. Some of the wheel arch flapping away. You can see where they got hit yesterday in the door. They've not replaced that on the race lab car, but that bit of trim will be fine. That will either fall off or stay like that to the end of the race.
The race leaders then come over the timing line with Robert Consonny still in the lead from Benjamin Lasserne. Over a second is that margin, 1.1 the gap. In 3rd place, Gabriele Piana with Petit 4th, and now as we've seen, Gedic up into 5th place. Best in Pro-Am, Thibaut Mojica Ginetta. Best in Am, Anthony DeBarn BMW, and a dive there by Alex Papadopoulos up the inside of 81 McLaren of Aston Miller, but again, no way through.
Yeah, no pace for the McLaren whatsoever at the moment. Quite the opposite for the lead. Audi and BMWs are going with them. The first 5 cars, either an Audi or a BMW, their pace really strong. And it is that Aston Miller car now starting to drop away ever so slightly. DeBarn still doing well in the AM class, looking down. Signoretti in the Ford is really struggling here. And just looking championship-wise for them, they need to go, as we see the 60 car coming to a stop by the looks of it, coming out of turn 6. That should avoid any safety car or full course yellow intervention if he can get reverse gear, even more so.
On to Erdem at the wheel of it, and he's found the gap to park in. Another car going well in contrast, Mackenzie Cresswell. 38th he started, 27th he is in 2 laps. So Mackenzie Cresswell has got good pace today. Yellow flag for the moment, and then in that middle sector with on to Erdem out of the race. Paolo Maloney up from the pit lane start as it became trying to get himself up the order was there. Paul Petit is under attack now from Jagish Gedic, and up front, Benjamin Lasserne has been caught by Gabriele Piana. So there's a BMW battle for 2nd and 3rd, and Gedic trying to get up the inside of Petit coming into turn 16. He's got the line for the corner and he's got the place as well. Brave stuff. Jagish Gedic goes by, gets the job done. So now BMWs are 2nd, 3rd and 4th as they come over the line. And Lasserne has gone to the pit lane, is that right? So Benjamin Lasserne shown as being in the pits. He was 2nd as he came into turn 16. And yes, he is in the pits and he's got a problem. Tyre related by the look of it, the right rear needing to be changed. So Benjamin Lasserne from 2nd place has a tyre issue and he's in the pit road.
Yeah, and I don't think that was contact. We didn't see anything there earlier on in the lap, so we've just had a failure. Always more likely at the start of a race when the tyre pressures are low. That's why we have a minimum tyre pressure, but the car's using so much curb here. Maybe he's just done that and it's popped it off the rim.
So that's going to shuffle the order, and it gives Gabriele Piana a golden chance. He was catching Lessen anyway, maybe because of a tyre issue, but now he's up in the second place, as you see number 5 there, which is Ruben Del Sart, battling with Jan Duran in the Toyota Supra, and through on the inside line goes the Aston Martin. Next target then for Del Sart's going to be Mark Kastelich in that white and orange Mercedes AMG just up the road. Lessen, by the way, is rejoining the race, so that car back on track, but will have lost a lot of time, and it needs a safety car to bring it back into the mix as you see Clement Zeiler go through, the quick Swiss driver.
Yeah, the Ginetta's got some damage on the front. I worry for Modica here that he could be nursing a car, currently still leading the Pro-Am class, but the Ginetta behind this 3-car battle has got some serious damage on the headlight, and that's allowed Davis to get down the inside, which has rear damage, so I think we might have found how that's happened, but it looks like it wants to come off.
Yeah, part A and part B, I think you can work out, got together at one point. So the Ginetta into the back of the McLaren, the headlight's gone now, and more air getting under the bonnet of that car, more debris flies from it, so the Ginetta is going to persevere until the scrutineers say, oh no, enough's enough. So you can see how it's prizing across the front. It is a left-hand drive car, so at the moment it's not too much of a visibility issue for Thibaut Mojica. Race leader is there, Robert Constany, who is 2.1 seconds up on Gabriele Piana, and Jagish Gedik third has done the fastest lap of the race as the cars dive down to turn 1. There's the Lotus ahead of Marco Signoretti's Mustang. Alberto Nasca just being able to keep him at bay for the moment. Signoretti tries one side and then the other.
Yeah, and that Mustang just wants to get past this Pro-Am car. That shows you the lack of pace. I worry for that Ginetta bonnet. There's only 4 pins. One's already snapped as Signoretti gets that move done rather robustly, really forced to open on that. No, I think we had contact there. Another car coming past us. The Aston Martin roughed us up. 2 places lost. Hopefully no damage for the Lotus.
That was Weintraub getting ahead of NASCAR, and that's significant because they're in the Pro-Am class, both of them, whereas Signoretti is in silver. So we've got a pit stop window to come between 25 and 35 minutes. We're away off that yet as Robert Constany continues to hold sway up front and try to build that gap over the rest of them. 95 seconds being the mandatory pit stop time, and that's the race leader. Constany now comes down towards turn 11 at Curvone, with Gabriele Piana chasing after him and being fractionally quicker in sector 1 and an absolute best in sector 2. Piana is on a mission here.
Yeah, fastest lap was this car though, the 11 car, so the second of the blue Borston Automotive car. Third place at the moment, 2/10 quicker than the cars in front, 7/10 quicker than Petit behind. So at the moment, really looking like we're going to get a 3-car battle building here. Can get it, keep the pace up, or is he working the tyre too hard too early?
The BMW then is in third place in the hands of Jagish Gedik, and it's the fastest car on the racetrack right now as Robert Constany comes over the timing line, maintaining this advantage. It's a small one, but it's maintained at least over Gabriele Piana. 1.8 seconds. Piana now does the fastest lap of the race, and he's hustling on, bearing in mind that he started 7th on the grid, Gabriele Piana, so he's had a good first few laps. Benjamin Lessen, by the way, is just completely in no man's land. He's nowhere near anybody to make up places. He desperately needs a safety car to try to bring the BMW back in the mix. More Ginetta parts fly as Thibaut Mojica tries to get himself up now with Michael Loboda. They've already traded places, so you've got Loboda now in that BMW into the lead of Pro-Am, and it means that Thibaut Mojica is desperately trying to fight back. They've also both cleared the Mustang once again.
Yeah, and I think that Ginetta finally lost the headlight. Must have just fallen out from the rear lights. Does a track limit on the exit of 6 there. That will create so much drag, the bonnet lifting. That's got to be 3/4 tenths of a second as now the Mustang breezes past. The bonnet's getting more and more open, isn't it?
And this is where the scrutineers start to look and think, okay, if that goes, it's a big piece of bodywork. It could land in the road, it could hit another car, it could go over a barrier near people even. So they will be keeping a very close eye on that. So too, in fairness, will the team. Thibaut Mojica's Ginetta then still in the lead of the in second in its class, but the CMR, Classic Modern Racing Squad, will be having a look at that and debating whether they need to bring it in themselves. 81, Aston Miller. 15, the Mercedes there, Alex Papadopoulos still at war, and round the outside goes Papadopoulos, runs out of road, gets sideways up the curb, and then has to slot back in, having lost a length.
Smart by Miller, just ease him onto the dirty part of the track, no contact needed, just coerced him over there, and that lost him a fair bit of time. Miller will now get another lap, maybe where he doesn't need to defend, and hope the car transforms some pace. 1.6 seconds behind the Audi in front. He needs to close that gap up. Our top 3 pretty equidistant, aren't they, every time we look at them? And actually the 11 car, Gedik, who was the quickest, now slowest out of those top 3.
So they're back onto the tail of the McLaren under braking. Comes Papadopoulos and a half dive to the inside at turn 2. That that forces Miller offline this time. Doesn't give the opportunity at turn 2 for Papadopoulos, nor really coming out of turn 3. The McLaren's still quick enough to be able to stave off the challenge of the American driver. Winner here last year, Luc Ibanez, will take over 15. 81 is going to go the way of Julius Dinesen. The other car of 812, nothing has come yet by way of information as to the investigation of it being worked on after that 1 minute board on the grid. Right now though, Miller on the defensive. Papadopoulos lines up a move on the inside and gets another face full of Artura.
Yeah, Miller's really hanging on here. He's almost got to work out how much time does he lose. He's got to think about getting to the end of the race quick. It's not his position here at the moment. I'd say he's lost nearly a second this lap in the defence and attack scenario of this battle that rages on. Runs slightly wide there. That could give the Mercedes a chance down this back straight.
And the flash of the lights didn't do very much either, did it? Here they come then, and now the Mercedes does go through. McLaren looked wide and had a wheel on the dirt, but that was easy for Papadopoulos, so he was able to go powering past coming out of turn 10. There is the Mercedes AMG then, and Thibaut Mojica's Ginetta, a driving standards warning flag is going his way for the incident with 812 Callum Davis's McLaren. So Papadopoulos gains a place, that puts him 5th. Another Mercedes going nicely is Mark Kastelich, isn't it? Here in the white car, coming up then towards the end of the lap. That was 13th in yesterday's race, and right now running 7th.
Yeah, and he's brought Ruben de la Sart with him as well, so Miller will not be looking in his mirrors favourably. And actually, there's almost a 7-car battle catching him now, isn't there? This is going to be a hard stint for Miller. He's the fastest McLaren out there, but that McLaren seemingly no pace.
Down through turn 1 they come then. That is number 96 of Mikael Loboda, the car that is leading in Pro-Am. So Loboda up front in that Simpson Motorsport BMW, which was quick yesterday, but then had a penalty late race. And Marco Signoretti trying to rebuild not just the race, but the championship assault in that Ford Mustang. Really good at the start of the year with a win in Paul Ricard, win at Zandvoort as well, but it's not been able to replicate that. The bonnet on the Ginetta looks all right, but that's a slow part of the circuit. Now the speed builds, so does the airflow, and you can see it getting further and further and further lifted. From the left, it's okay. From the right, all the air getting underneath, and it drops back down again as the car hits the brakes.
Yeah, fiberglass material is going to be starting to fatigue, isn't it? So it's being pinned down by those bonnet pins, of which 3 of the 4 are remaining. I worry actually at some point it might just snap itself in half. They build them strong up in Garforth near Leeds, but that isn't part of the development, is how much air you can get under a bonnet before it flies off.
No, it's not something you test often, is it? Although the drivers do seem to test it themselves quite a lot, whether it's in GT racing or in the one-make championships, of which there are many, of course, for Ginetta G56 these days. There is the charging Mackenzie Cresswell. So from the back of the grid, he's already up into 19th place. Mackenzie Cresswell doing an excellent job as you look at number 98 there. That's the Kimvalda BMW, 22nd overall. Let's see what happens for the Ginetta bodywork this time around. Looks okay, but again, you pick the car up at a slow part of the circuit, so the speed isn't there, and nor is the airflow. Now it quickens, and it starts to lift again.
Yeah, Cresswell here, the yellow McLaren, has made up 19 places thus far and is 19th overall.
So he's more to do if he wants to emulate the Pedro Ibrahim Jagic Gedik BMW of yesterday. Across the timing line there in 20th spot is Anthony Debarn, leading now the AM contest. Benjamin Lassens still trying to play catch-up at the rear of the pack.
Yeah, and that BMW very quick, and Anthony Debarn always fast there, as we see the Audi there fighting with one of the Porsches. The Porsche's not been particularly strong this weekend at all for them, have they? Right. 25th is the highest placed Porsche.
And there, Alberto Nasca under attack. So the Lotus losing out as the BMW comes powering past. Nasca then tries to retaliate as best he can now on this run along that back straight, but Tuda Tudoraci, having gone ahead of him, wants to stay there. These are the 3 race leaders. Robert Constanet ahead of Gabriele Piana, ahead of Jagic Gedik in 3rd place. Paul Petit 4th, but dropping back a little bit. We've got a yellow in the first sector of the lap. A couple of cars I think have come to grief within the S's, the turn 1, 2 and 3 section, and it's Ajith Kumar by the look of it, and also 97 BMW. This is going to interrupt things. Mats Olsen's car badly damaged. There's debris on the road as well. They have come to grief, both with frontal damage then. Full course yellow is coming then. The 22nd call given by Joël Dorval, the race director. So a full course yellow to slow the pace, and that'll go to a 10 count, and then the full course yellow will be deployed. The yellow flags are there, and the cars will slow because the full course yellow is in operation.
Yeah, looked like that Mercedes was slowing down rather late. Interesting incident there because they were nearly 6 seconds apart as they crossed the line just before that sequence of corners where they've crashed. So can only assume the BMW of Olsen has spun and Kumar's been unsighted and hit him at some point. But yeah, a rather large amount of damage on both of those cars. They're both going to need full lifts, aren't they? Who does this help? Well, it helps Lecen, doesn't it? We said he needed a safety car. It helps that Ginetta as well, I think, and it probably helps that elite McLaren bunch everyone up again.
As long as we get a safety car. If it's full course yellow, there's less to be gained.
I think we've got to. I'd
probably right.
That wrong.
Yeah.
The amount of coolant.
Yeah, there's liquid all over the road as well. Lots of bits of debris. The Porsche of Ajith Kumar is off the road, but it's still in a vulnerable place if anybody else were to go wide. So, yeah, just the sheer length of time needing 2 recovery vehicles, not just one. I think you're right. We will get a safety car ultimately. Although the different tyres that we have from Pirelli these days have often meant that full course yellows are followed by green, but it may well be that with liquid on the road, Race Direction prefer a safety car, and hopefully this isn't going to delay the pit window. We've got enough time, I would have thought, before we need to think about delaying the window. There, Ajith Kumar out of the car, out of the race, and that, I'm afraid, is really the first significant bit of damage we've seen from him this year. And because he's a fine chap, he goes and helps the marshals clear up all the bodywork. Not many drivers would do that.
No, he's counting the dollar signs on that repair, isn't he, as well, I think. And isn't just the acting he does, he's got a motorcycle tour company, the Venus Tour Car. If you want to ride a Harley Davidson across the Sahara Desert, David, he's the man to speak to.
I'll go and have a word a bit later.
Okay.
Yeah. So Robert Consony then up front, and having worked hard to try to build a gap, it was being eroded anyway, but if we go safety car, it will disappear altogether over Gabriele Piano, who's had a very good first stint. There in 3rd place, Yagish Gedik, in 4th place, Paul Petit, and in 5th spot in the queue, Alex Papadopoulos, as the cars coast their way down that back straight towards turn 11.
I think I've got to give some congratulations to the top 3 as well. There's only been 1 track limit done by all 3 of them, and that is just 1 for the 3rd place Gedik, as we see the Manitou there ready for a full lift. So it'd just be interesting to see how they dress that liquid right against the curb. You can see the bucket there, probably a quick dry they're going to throw down there, but good amount of vehicles here at Misano, because I was expecting a flatbed needed, but they got 2 Manitous there already with the beam where they can just plug directly into the roll cage through the roof, and they can lift those. So yeah, we're right on a cusp of a flip of a coin if we're going to have to delay the pit window, which should be open in 6 minutes and 40 seconds.
And under full course yellow, we are about to see what the lap time is going to be, as up towards the line then goes the leader. Now this is on board with Ajith Kumar.
So the BMW spun on the exit too, you can see it, and he just hasn't seen it at all. All I can say is he's looking down at the dash or something, because the visibility of that BMW was good. He was just hyper focused on hitting his apex and maybe looking at the plethora of information on the dash. But first year of racing at this level, that's a learnt lesson for Kumar.
And you're right, we are going to go safety car then. So this full course yellow morphs into a safety car, and that is good news for some, bad news though for Robert Consony, is it not? As now we're not under safety car conditions yet, and it might only be 1 lap just to bunch people up and get the tyres back up to temperature, rather than a sequence of laps behind the safety car. But full course yellow conditions prevail. Safety car, remember, can go faster than you're allowed to go under full course yellow. So once the road is clear, a lap behind the safety car, maybe 2 before we go back racing again. But yeah, Ajith Kumar, as you say, totally focused there, came through the corner, and all of a sudden, nowhere to go.
Yep, that would have been a shot for sure. And yeah, luckily the drivers these days have got to wear the hands device. You can see Kumar there holding it to his hand, so that would have stopped a big old bit of whiplash. Even at that impact, I would have thought would have been 4-5 G most probably. So your head weighing 5 times more than it usually does can hurt the old neck.
So the cars here coming down towards the end of the back straight, and you've got there the damage on 97 BMW. So Mats Olsen's car being taken away. That, in a sense, was the catalyst. It had spun, and then Ajith Kumar through the corner suddenly found himself confronted with a stranded BMW. So safety car on track, but we have not yet had safety car conditions confirmed, because only when the track is clear, will we go to safety car for effectively one lap to quicken the pace and then let the field go?
Tracking that Porsche, but the rear axle's fully locked. The team won't want to see that AV Racing up be putting a load of stress through the drive shaft. They're just focus on getting that car repaired as quickly as possible. The marshals, they're rubbing in the quick dry to try and get rid of that coolant. The coolant very slippy, not just normal water, so it wouldn't evaporate as quickly even on a hot day like today. So the marshals having to address that, and we're definitely not going to go green next time by. So I think we've got 2 laps under safety car, and the window's going to need to be delayed by 3 to 4 minutes, I suspect.
So race control will be looking at the situation on track, and there you've got then Robert Consani, the race leader, with that gap potentially to disappear once everybody starts to bunch up behind the safety car, as the field then now comes again up over the timing line. Safety car is on track, but we have yet to get safety car procedure employed.
So yeah, they're all going to bunch up here, and it's really going to be 2 races now, isn't it? Because by the time we go back to green, most cars, I think, would have done their pit stop. The marshals here still need to be careful of the cars doing 80Ks, and I think that's why we haven't gone safety car just yet. They want to try and get the marshals almost done with their work and then go to safety car.
So through the car's turn, and yeah, there you can see how the gaps have opened up. The speedy dry being put down just to soak up the liquid that came out of the front of the Porsche. Now there is number 78 McLaren of Mackenzie Cresswell. So that car started 38th, and Mackenzie Cresswell now in 19th place.
Trying to get some air. You can see his red glove out the window. The McLaren runs very, very hot. It's not the nicest place to be, and he's struggling there. Even after a relatively small stint, he's trying to get some air in there, and he'll be happy to jump out of that car. He's had a good stint, but obviously working hard.
And he's going to get even better potentially, because when we do go back racing with everybody tightly bunched, there's another place or 2 at least to be gained, one would have thought, before the pit stop. Now we are 2 minutes and change away from the window opening under normal circumstances, and it does look as though that is going to be delayed. That's rather bad news for Mackenzie Cresswell, because he's going to be in the car for a little bit longer in these very high temperatures. Temperature now 31.1 degrees, and the track temperature 47 degrees. And this is where the drivers at a slower speed are really going to feel the heat. Pit window is postponed. Confirmation.
Yeah, and drivers getting ready though. Ibrahim there with a mega stint 1 yesterday will be excited to get in the car in a much stronger position inside the top 3. Can they have a race win? Looks like the Mercedes there. It's 80k, slightly slower as we go to safety car, so it completely negates that issue. All gaps will close up.
And potentially just 1 lap once the crocodile is formed before we can get the cars back to racing then in our second GT4 European Series race of the weekend. This gives the drivers now a chance to go faster than they are allowed to do under full course yellow conditions. So safety car now, pit window is postponed, but hopefully we'll only need a lap really, because the speed can be easily achieved, and on a hot day like this it'll take a bit less time to get the warmth in the tyres than a cooler day and a cooler temperature. So drivers getting crash helmets on, confidence that the window has been postponed, but they still need to be ready anyway.
Yeah, Charlie Hart and Dinson there, the 2 Rafa McLaren drivers taking over from Aston Miller, and Davis respectfully there. And then interesting, Davis still didn't get a penalty, did he, for that door being open? So
it's being looked at.
I think we can almost forget about that now. It feels like they've had long enough to decide, and they've given them the benefit of the doubt.
So over the line they come. You can see vigorous weaving from those Borisson BMWs as Gabriele Piana and Jagish Gadic try and get the warmth back into the tyres, and the pressure's up again. Paul Petit running in 4th place. Stefano D'Aste is good to go, the former Alfa Romeo racer, now Ace Lotus preparer. And the PB Racing team will be ready to cycle through the pit stop. So the pit window is postponed. The safety car will be in this lap, so we will await confirmation as to when the window opens. That's going to be communicated to the timekeeping service, so they know when they are allowed to show it. And we've just seen on our timing screen the pit window just move back a little bit. There's a block on the timing display that shows when that window is, and it's gone back a couple of minutes, so that will be confirmed by the race control team, which is rather busy at the moment with different messages to different people and making sure that the safety car knows it is due in this time. So the pit window goes back around about a minute and a half or so. You've got the Ginetta still with that damage. They're not much other than sticky tape they can do in the pit stop on that, but just a lot of tape to try and hold it down to the end of the race.
Yeah, the old tank tape special there. They'll get a plaster effectively, probably 10 strips wide, all stuck together, so they can just put it on as one. As we look at the Pro-Am Cup leaders that took over from the Ginetta, that lead, and they've been quick, haven't they? And the top three all running together there. Laboda in the BMW front, Weintrip in the Aston Martin behind him, and then the Ginetta. So all the classes are pretty tight together. The AM class at the moment, Demand in another BMW, looking strong. So all of these cars are going to have to go past the pits once more on track, and then we will see if the window is open. There's 3 cars under investigation for full course yellow speed, 88, 20 and 55. They're not in our top part of the race, so we don't need to worry them just yet, but we will keep you updated on what happens to them.
So it is Robert Constantly in the lead as the car comes now up towards turn 11. He will start to accelerate because the safety car is due in this time. So once you start to accelerate, you've got to keep on going. The pit window not yet open, but the drivers will make the run now up towards turn 15, ready to go into battle once again. Constantly, Piana, Gedik, Audi, BMW, Audi fourth in the hands of Paul Petit, and Alex Papadopoulos has been a bit asleep on the restart because he's nowhere near the leading quartet. Look, you can see the gap has opened up between 4th and 5th as they come over the line. So, racing again, Constantly is the man in charge. Gabriele Piana weaving about to try and, again, just earn a bit more warmth in the rubber as he comes down towards turn 1, and the cars now accelerate out of turn 2. This is lap number 14. We're back racing at Misano.
Pretty average restart from a lot of cars there. Piana, one of them. When you're coaching drivers in this sort of series, you'd say anything more than half a second behind the car over the line for a restart is not acceptable. And almost half the field well over that half a second. So I don't know if it's communicated to them late, but they were caught napping. And really the big one on his feet is Paul Petit in 4th place. That Audi tucked up behind that second BMW.
The pit window is open. Alberto Nasca is in, so he has made the choice to come in early to give way to Stefano D'Aste, as there Paul Petit tries to get up the inside. Petit is in that green and grey Audi. Alongside him, Jagish Gedik in the second of those bright blue Borusan Automotive BMWs. Behind is Alex Papadopoulos trying to close back up. He was another one that was not really on his toes on the resumption of the race, as there is the Lotus.
I think that car was in before the pit window opened. The pit window message opened at 21-22 seconds, and they've been in the pit lane longer than that time, so I don't think this will count as a mandatory.
So the Lotus may have come in for a problem anyway, because it's still there. Let's see. But you're right, it was in a fraction early. As round the outside there goes Marco Signoretti to try to move ahead of the McLaren, which he does. So nice move that, ahead of Callum Davis in the trim flapping McLaren that then gets up the curb. And that off the road is the Cindy Goudet Toyota Supra, trying to get back onto the circuit, carrying on in the race. But inevitably, when you bunch up the field, it all gets busy. To the pit lane comes the number 11 BMW, Jagish Gedik. Back into the race goes the Lotus, Alberto Nasca, but with a question mark over the veracity of that pit stop.
Yeah, I think they just banked on the window not getting postponed, and it definitely was in 12 seconds too early. My calculation, the Borusan Automotive car going pretty much all the way down to pit lane. That car of Cindy Goudet still going very slowly. And what happens here? We're at turn 8, and was that the Ginetta again in the back of a car? Definitely contact. I don't know if the Ginetta was the instigator or was just there getting swept into the moment, but the Toyota with obviously some damage at stopping it going fast.
Right, lots for the pit lane this time, apart from Pedro Ibrahim. Tudoraci is in, Balder is in, Ferrara is in, Hendrik Still is in, Alex Papadopoulos is in, Jan Durant is in, Callum Davis is in. So there's a real shuffle of the order as you look there at the car that Pedro Ibrahim will take over. And there's the damage. I thought the Toyota went up the inside of the Ginetta, but the net result is you can see damaged suspension. That car with a wobbly wheel heading back to the pit lane, and there is a big question mark over that Lotus pit stop right now, incidentally. So yeah, the pit stop has been done, but coming in too early. Now we've also got a car that's got a 5-second penalty for track limits, and it's the Ginetta, is it not? So 51, Thibaut Mojica there having a new tyre put on. He's got a puncture and he's got a penalty as well for track limits. Yeah, the contact obviously on the right side of the Ginetta, so there must have been multiple hits on that lap, because the bit we saw was on the left side from the Ginetta. As we see Joachim Bolting head out, taking over from Hendrik Still. Here's Cresswell now up to 10th of cars pitting in front, so he might want to stay out slightly longer. He's got some track in front of him to use up, but the pit window will soon evaporate. Probably got time for 2 more full laps. So over the line now goes Robert Consani in the lead of the race, ahead of Gabriele Piana. Paul Petit staying out a little bit longer as well. Aston Miller fourth now. And then there's, of course, the other aspect to all of this. Traffic gets in the way. So some of the leading cars finding back markers coming out of the pits after an earlier stop in the way. Mark Kastelic comes in, and he will now give that car over to Elias Niskanen, the Mercedes AMG. Others coming past, either to leave the pits or to come into their pit box. Driver change continues. This championship with the same pit stop time for everybody. There's no compensation time for doing well in previous races, as we get in GT2, for example. So with different pit regulation. Constantly through the traffic there, gets up past the Vinnie Beltramelli Porsche Cayman, and accelerates now up towards turn 9 with 29 minutes, little under, still to go.
A load of dust kicked up on the apex. That was quite bizarre. The Ginetta lost nearly 30 seconds in its pit stop, having to change tyre and fix the damage, so don't expect them to be on the Pro-Am podium anymore. And these leaders now starting to catch some of the back markers, aren't they? Will that change their strategy, whether they should pit or not? If they lose any time behind those cars, it would have been better to box early.
Number 11 has made its Joker pit stop. In other words, it's a little short, but you've got that 1 second tolerance as the cars then here come up towards the hairpin once again, and they're second with back markers in the way this time, Gabriele Piana. So he's dropped back a little bit in real terms from Robert Consani. Now we'll see whether the leader comes in this time. Consani is going to pit, and Gabriele Piana will not be that far behind in the BMW, looking to see whether there's a blue flash into the pits. There is, so the BMW is in a lap later than the sister car, but at least that means they don't need to double stack. So the gap comes down a little bit into the pit lane, does it not? But Piana comes towards the Borasan Automotive Motorsport team, as down to Team Speed Car goes Robert Consani, and Aston Miller now leads in the McLaren.
Yeah, Signoretti stays out as well, so does Lombardo, which is an interesting strategy. They've gone longest out of all the Pro-Am cars, and it'll be a proper racing pit lane here. Oh, it's close for the mechanic there, getting taken up by the other Speed Car Petit. I don't think he was watching. That was on the car controller. Petit knows he's got to get the car in, and the car controller just oblivious to another car.
And of course here you've got to be mindful of other people stopping around you. You don't want to get hemmed in. There's just about enough space, isn't there, for when that car of Beke Bechler has to rejoin. The car controller is ready with the lollipop, as through the traffic then now comes 81, which is the on-the-road leader, Aston Miller, by just under 2 seconds from Aston Martin behind in the hands of Clement Seiler. And here number 11 back in the race after the pit stop to change the driver. It's Pedro Ibrahim, started at the back of the grid yesterday and got up into 6th place. So he's not had to do the 32 car overtake today, or they haven't as a team, but it's been in the mix right from the get-go. Luke Ibanez, by the way, into number 15, replacing Alex Papadopoulos. Absolute best sector 1, personal best sector 2 on his first flying lap. So that Mercedes could well be a factor. Of course, the bunching up of the safety car helping them, and there in the background is the NM Racing Team Mercedes. Down towards turn 1. And the McLaren of Mackenzie Cresswell has pitted as well.
It's going to be tight, this, isn't it? I think we're going to have the BMW side by side, and it is actually the car that did the undercut there that's going to get the advantage. But you're right as well, the pace of that Mercedes of Ibanez has been really, really strong, and don't count him out of a podium charge here, as Ibrahim now ahead of Bessler.
And that shouldn't really have happened, given the way that Piana was ahead in the first stint. So the BMWs, as you say, switching on the pit stops. 1 minute 1 minute 34.6 for the Ibrahim car. What about number 12 BMW? Now that's put Beke Bechler in the 35.3. So a little bit of time lost by maybe the Bechler drive out compared to Piana coming in. Now Ibanez straight away on the back of Bechler. He's been in that car for a little bit longer. He's up to speed. There's a gap on the inside, and Beke Bechler having a tough outlap here. He's in danger of losing the place.
Yeah, I think the straight line performance of the BMW will save him this lap, but Ibanez will realise he needs to get on with this if he wants to win the race. He's got to clear 2 BMWs, and then what could he do about the Audi in front?
Also, drivers needing to be mindful of track limits as well, which tally up as the cars come now towards the hairpin. So the BMW's different order, but still running as a pair. And again here, look, Ibanez tries to get at the inside of Bechler. Well, that's the outside line really for the next corner and the one after that. So the Mercedes can't make it work, and Beke Bechler defending well, all of which is helping Pedro Ibrahim to get away. We need to see what the gap's going to be though. Benjamin Lariche to Ibrahim. So it's a different BMW second, and it's not that big a gap either.
No, it really isn't. And Ibanez starting to look a bit desperate, looking looking too many times. The problem is you cry wolf then, and Bessler will almost stop looking in his mirror. If you're looking every corner, then yeah, you've knocked once too many times, and it sometimes makes the overtake harder. But Ibanez has got a run here. Can he do it on the brakes as they brake for T4?
The Toyota of the Swedish drivers, the Brunhagens, 5-second penalty for track limits. That'll be factored in at the end of the race, as there you can see Ibanez getting himself onto the back of the Beke Bechler BMW. Pedro Ibrahim getting away. Aston Miller is in. Clement Seiler is in. Marco Signoretti is in as well now, out of that leading group, as the leaders come into turn number 8. And Ibanez is struggling to find a way past at the moment. And while he's struggling to get past Bessler, so Ibrahim in the other BMW, there, the first of the two coming up towards us, is getting away. But that said, Lariche is also extending the gap in the lead.
Yeah, and he's looking comfortable as Ibanez gets the inside. It's now going to be a drag race again. Needs to get close to the side of that BMW, get a big side draft. We talk about slipstream, nose to tail, and that's what he's had to tuck into. The BMW survives again. Where's Ibanez's best chance? I think it's probably into turn 10, that corner onto the back straight. He just needs to send it down the inside, get level, and then just try and ease this 12 BMW out wide so he can't pick the throttle up as early.
So they come now into the hairpin. So Beke Bechler still hard at work, keeping at bay Luc Ibanez, who's been a GT4 mainstay for a number of seasons, initially in a Ginetta, but then switching to the Mercedes a few years back. Very, very successful indeed. Came out of Clio Cup Spain initially, and he's on the back of Beke Bechler then as they come over the line. Beke Bechler 3 years ago, the German Prototype Cup champion. Gabriele Piana, the 2023 GT4 European Series champion, did a good first stint in that car, but not a great pit stop. So a little bit of time lost, and that's what's helped switch the BMWs over. And you can see Pedro Ibrahim up the road, driving away from them. Pedro Ibrahim knows this circuit pretty well because he was last year's Italian GT Sprint Pro-Am champion. There is Eric Evans rejoining in the Mustang, and back into the race also now comes the White Raffle Racing Club McLaren.
7 seconds too slow on the pit stop, and that's why they've lost a place to the Mustang, so not a good pit stop for the previously driven Aston Miller car.
Right, so the order continues to shuffle around with these pit stops, and the window now is closed. So if you haven't done the stop by now, then you're in big trouble. Race leader is still then the Team Speed Car Audi in the hands of Benjamin Lariche. In second place, Beke Bechler's teammate Pedro Ibrahim. There you've got Bechler third, and fourth is Ibanez. And then let's see what's going on behind in fifth place. Then it is going to be now Greg Gilbert in the second of the Team Speed Car Audis. And look at the gap those five have got over Baudouin de Two, who's taken over from Clement Silas. It's quite a big gap the leading quintet has continued to have.
Yeah, 4.3 seconds. Gilbert in his own air completely. We said at the start of the race they don't seem to have the same pace as the sister car. Don't know if that's a new car issue. They're just trying to get it dialed in as well as they did the old chassis before that big Spa crash. But Ibrahim definitely has lost a bit of time this lap, and it seems like it's all closing up behind him. And I think again we're just seeing a transformation of pace as the tyres change, the driver pushes potentially too hard and burns it up. And at the moment Lariche will be managing this gap almost perfectly. 2.2 seconds now, nearly 2.5.
So here they come up towards turn 16. You can see number 7 there, Stanislav Safronov, trying to take a second victory of the weekend in Pro-Am, and he's all over the back there of the Josh Rattigan driven McLaren. So Josh Rattigan goes into turn 1. All over the back of him is Stanislav Safronov.
See how much curb the elite McLaren's using, and that's what they were saying could have been the failure in qualifying as the battle rages here for 7th place. You've got the Mercedes with the Aston right in the rear of it, and this is becoming a big battle.
And that's a change because Niskanen has got ahead of de Two, so the change has happened for 6th place. Elias Niskanen ahead of Baudouin de Two. Meanwhile, out wide there goes the McLaren in the hands of Charlie Hart, and just about hanging on to his place is Josh Rattigan. Stanislav Safronov's car comes up to the outside line down towards turn 8. Also in this battle pack is Roberto Faria in number 5 Aston Martin. So Elias Niskanen is under attack. Look, Baudouin de Two to the outside line to try to retake the place, but he can't do it. Niskanen staves him off, at least for the moment. Does he go wide? He does. Up the inside goes de Two. So two very similar front engine cars. It's the Mercedes fractionally ahead, but on the outside line. So Baudouin de Two, who was ahead at the start of the lap, trying to hang on to that that place. He's got the inside line for Covoni, the right-hander, and he's done it. He's gone back ahead.
A bit of the floor hanging down on that Mercedes as well, so we need to make sure that doesn't get any worse. Like the Ginetta bonnet, that can start to flap more and more. He's fighting back. He's trying to get to the inside. The car's squirming, under braking. The ABS helping them up, not locking, but the car's still struggling to get stops. And the Aston looks good in a straight, but the Mercedes looks nice and positive in the corner.
Diving to the inside there, Roberto Faria. So all of this is in the Silver Cup, but it's for 6th place and back. So Baudouin de Two back ahead of Elias Niskanen as they come across the line. Then you've got Roberto Faria side by side with Charlie Hart in that white McLaren. Behind the pair is Adrien David in the Toyota Supra. Niskanen again tries to go around the outside at 1, the inside for 2. He got the move done here a lap ago, and he's done it again. So Elias Niskanen goes back ahead. Let's see what happens here as a big lose. Roberto Faria tried to get up the inside of Charlie Hart. Did they touch? If they didn't, it was close. But it's the Aston that spins.
Yeah, well done for Charlie Hart there. He left enough space. Faria tried to send it down the outside, and then that turned to the inside of 3. It just didn't work for him. Charlie Hart took a slight tap, but survives. There's a bit of damage on the front of that McLaren as well. Didn't spot when that was done. Henry David as well in the battle, and Rattigan still defending from the Pro-Am car, Safronov.
Trying to gain ground, but quirky, isn't it, in a sense? A lot of overtaking done early on by that McLaren. Different driver, different stint, different opposition around, and it's struggling to make up the ground. Keep an eye, first of all, on Niskanen's Mercedes making its move, but then Roberto Faria, I don't think there was contact as he got...
There's contact at the next right now.
I think did he not already lost it?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. He was already spinning and the contact happened because he was spinning. But yeah, I was just worried that Charlie Hart might pick up some rear right damage, but McLaren seems to be strong on that side.
As there is number 7 then, Stanislav Safronov, all over the back still of Josh Rattigan, and Safronov needs to pick his battles here. He doesn't have to get past Rattigan, he just has to stay ahead of the class opposition and take a second win of the weekend. That is Jean-Mathieu Leandri, who is leading in Am, and thereafter a second win of the weekend as well. Jean-Mathieu Leandri and Anthony de Barm, the 2 drivers of that very successful BMW, looking for win number 5 of the year.
Yeah, going really well, aren't they? And I think Safronov is a bit worried because the Pro-Am second place car is now only 3.5 seconds behind, because they're battling so hard in that pack. They are worried about it. Leonardo here in the 317 BMW leading very comfortably in the AM class, so it doesn't need to fight the Van Springel Ford so hard. That number 1 car with the perfect pit stop, it used its joker, so it was a second under exactly. So really good pit stop from the number 1 Ford.
And the race has 17.5 minutes to go. Benjamin Lariche is 2.5 seconds up the road at the next timing point, 2.3 seconds up the road. So Pedro Ibrahim is starting to close a little bit, and he has proved to be one of the great overtakers of the weekend from his efforts of yesterday. Beke Besler still hanging on to that 3rd place ahead of Luc Ibanez, and then it's Greg Gilbert with this long battle pack for 6th and back. Lars Niskanen just at the head of it from De Two, Hart, David, Evans, Rattigan and Safronov.
Yeah, Safronov looked stronger, didn't he, a few laps ago? Doesn't seem to be able to put the move on Rattigan like he was trying there. You can see the headlight flash from Ibanez. Those 3 have bunched up, so after a very strong start to the stint, Ibrahim now starting to lose pace. There's 4 tenths between these 3 cars equally at the moment, and this will be interesting. There's 3 cars fighting for the final 2 podium positions.
Roberto Faria, that we saw having a spin, he's also being looked at for the pit stop of the number 5 Aston Martin as the race leaders then work lap 22, and they're coming towards the end of it now. They're down towards turn 16. The BMWs are getting themselves back together, aren't they? Ibrahim, remember, had quite a big gap a few laps ago after the pit stops, but now 6 tenths of a second is being nibbled away, 4 tenths at the last timing point, and as they come over the line it's down to half a second. So the BMs are getting closer, and Ibanez on a big push, coming quick through turn 1, tried the inside at 2, that was not on.
He had so much speed there. It looked like a GT3 Mercedes. He was able to carry so much, but that will be worrying for Besler, that he'll be now thinking, well, what's that Mercedes got grip-wise? And it seems like he's down the inside again. This could be a move done. He'll be side by side for a while. Ibanez, I think, backed out of that one, realised that was a high-risk point of contact potentially, but that has let Ibrahim get away slightly, nearly now a second ahead of this 2-car battle.
So the Mercedes AMG making that run again down the back straight towards the kink at 7, the corner of Quechua, turn 8. It's a long corner, and then that slight climb up to the other side towards turn 9. It's a very flat circuit. This is about the 1 elevation change over the crest, and you can see there the Mercedes AMG of a rather frustrated Luc Ibanez. He has not found a way, has he, to get past Beke Besler. Tries he might, and again he gets a tighter line plus the curb usage up the inside at 10. but the BMW has good drive the other side of the corner. Thinking BMWs, remember the one that had a puncture very early on? Ricardo van der Ende took over from Benjamin Lessen. Safety car helped them. They're back up into 25th place overall. And there are a couple of cars being investigated for the safety car restart, but they are not affecting the lead battle.
Continue the BMW theme. The 23rd place car, Maloney, had to come in the pit lane, didn't they, for the tyre pressure issue. They've had a good race, so they're well up there as well, 6th in Pro-Am.
Except they're under investigation for the safety car restart. They're one of the two teams currently being looked at, the other being the Brunhagen Toyota. So could be a bittersweet race this for the Maloney family, the locals from San Marino. Over the timing line then goes the race leader, Benjamin Lariche, 2.5 seconds to the good over Ebrahim. And now that Ebrahim is falling back into the clutches of Besler, that's playing into the hands of Lariche. He's building that gap again in the Audi, and we've got 14 minutes of the race still to go.
Yeah, and still this huge 7-car battle pack behind them as well. It's still Nissan in front. Banyes, again, just looking too often almost. I think he needs to save up for one big move. I think turn 10 is his best chance. You've seen him go down the inside, but he needs to go later on the brakes and miss the apex, but then force Besler to go in deep. So he needs to get a really good drive out of here at turn 8 and then just try and sling it down the inside into these next couple of right-handers.
The Charlie Hart Callum Davis McLaren is being given a 10-second time penalty for a start procedure infringement. So remember, we saw the car with the mechanic still working after the 1-minute ball. The door was still up, and because that is against the regulations, a 10-second time penalty that's going to be added on at the end of the race. Then the car is currently in 8th place and in a battle pack, so 10 seconds are going to really hurt.
Yeah, that's a shame for them to get inside the top 10. They've had a mega run there. Banyes has lost a lot of time, hasn't he? Now 9 tenths behind. Yeah. He's had a really poor run onto that back straight. Again, he just keeps having these half looks as we go back to this battle where that McLaren's going to have a 10-second penalty.
So it'll tumble down the order. That's good news in a way to Josh Rattigan, because it's going to give him another place. Rattigan going after Eric Evans in the Mustang in 10th position right now. Here's the battle on for second in Pro-Am, where it is Vasily Vladikin in the white, red, black BMW, just ahead of Victor Bouveng in the sort of blue and black BMW, the one there in the background. This car that looks like a bruise, number 98, so comes out of the hairpin and is all over the back of the Vladikin Loboda entry. While they're squabbling, that takes a bit of the pressure off the class leader, Stanislav Safronov.
Yeah, he has got the BMW of Nikolai right behind him. They look racy down the back straight. Maybe he's thinking to let that BMW go, and I think he has actually. Yes, he has. So they've swapped positions. That might let him follow Nikolai through on the Rattigan McLaren that's been holding up that Aston Martin for the majority of this stint.
Okay, so we've got that battle on. The BMW is very close indeed together. So the M4 GT4s power on, and now there's another penalty heading, and it is for number 99. That is the Cindy Goudet Toyota for causing a collision. Well, the car's in the pit lane out of the race anyway, so it matters not. But for the purposes of record, that incident up at where these cars have just left, turns 4 and 5, deemed to be Cindy Goudet at fault. How's the Ginetta doing with all its tank tape after its extra time served in the pits with the penalty earlier on? That's another car that's fallen quite a long way down the order, has it not? Yeah,
the 55 car Brunhagen has been given a 10-second penalty as well. So yeah, that Ginetta that got roughed up by a Toyota there as Charlie Hart gets turned around by Henry David. So he's got 10 seconds plus that. Expect Henry David to get a similar penalty for that contact. Looked like he just rolled off the brake and just rotated the McLaren around.
Yeah, Adrian David then into the back of Charlie Hart, biffs him around, and Charlie Hart's race going from bad to worse. The penalty isn't helping. We've also now got a car being penalised for speeding under the full course yellow. It's one of the BMWs, the Lucas Cartel, Lucas Sugliano car, but that's also in the pit lane out of the race with electrical drama, so that matters not. So Lariche leads 2 seconds, the gap's down again. So last time around it was Ebrahim quicker, and Luke Ibanez last time did the fastest lap of the race, a 1:41.9. He is quicker than anybody ahead of him, if only he could find a way through the traffic.
Eric Evans doing well here. So let's have a look. David, for me, just rolls in too much speed and just rear ends him. The only thing I can't see was the Mustang in the back of David. And was David actually innocent, but our pictures made him look guilty? That's something I can't say right now.
Yeah, I just wonder whether you're right. It looked as though it might have been a snooker affair, that, and the cue ball was Adrien David. Evans may have tagged the back of him, but that'll get looked at, no doubt. The Roberto Faria Aston that had a spin is being penalised for its pit stop being too short, and again here the BMWs trying to work together to get onto terms with Benjamin-Lariche as much as they're trying to keep at bay the Mercedes of Luc Ibanez. 10 more minutes of the race to go now.
Yeah, that gap down to 1.3 seconds. That's halved in the last 3 laps since we really came back to look at this battle. So is that Lariche starting to struggle? Is up to 1.4. Is Ebingham floating, but it is dropping away. Lariche now will be looking in his mirrors much more intently.
He will indeed, but he also, because he's a very experienced driver, Benjamin-Lariche will know exactly what is required to win the race. It doesn't matter what the gap is, as long as he's first across the line, he's not racking up track limit penalties. That car has 0. We've done over 50 minutes of the race and there's not a single track limit infringement against number 3 Audi. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, impressive. I almost feel a little bit less of them there. So well disciplined racing drivers should be wild and out of control. That's what the majority of the field are track limit wise. The car directly behind of Ibrahim has 3, and then it's 4 for the majority behind. So they've all got 1 more before they attract a penalty. So that is a major positive for the lead Audi.
Cars then coming into turn 16. You're looking at the Joachim Balder car. Way out wide there was Josh Rattigan. That'll be a track limit warning for sure. An infringement as he comes across the line, keeping that BMW of Sergio Nicolai at bay. Nicolai's going nicely, isn't he? Having worked his way into the top 10 there. A car that we don't often see up in that leading gaggle, but Sergio Nicolai and Tudor Tudoraci, the Romanian drivers, going very impressively.
Henry David lost a load of time on that last lap. That's put Safronov down the inside. Safronov needs that because look at the Pro-Am cars behind him. They were running 1, 2 and 3 as they crossed the line. He's now got David in between him and Vladikin and Buving. But this Pro-Am battle is going to go interesting. Lead battle now down to a second. We've got lots to look at Pro-Am and overall.
With 8.5 minutes on the clock as the leading cars are on the run to the end of the middle sector. There then is 310 BMW, Sergio Nicolai keeping Stanislav Safronov at bay. Adrien David's car starting to wilt. It's been involved in a couple of incidents, but it doesn't seem to have the pace to be able to fight back against the Aston. And a change, the BMWs there. Victor Buving to the inside of Vasily Vladikin, goes through up towards turn 10. Nicely done, although Vladikin switches sides, tries to get back up the inside. Victor Buving, another experienced driver of GT4 cars, so trying to brave it out on the outside line as they come now down towards turn 11, and he has managed to hang on in there. Class winner in the Nürburgring 24 hours, for example, Victor Buving. Did much of his racing initially German championships, and that's Ricardo van der Ende off the road in number 17 BMW that had the early puncture. He had risen to 21st, and that drama was, I suspect, not self-induced. Let's have a look. Bang, he got maloded.
From a long way back as well. I was trying to work out which Porsche was going to be guilty, and surprise, it was a BMW from 3 cars back, so that will be a penalty for that car. So both of those BMWs have been in the wars. Finally, Ibanez gets to the inside at turn 4. They're going to run side by side. This should favour the BMW as he goes left through 6. Can he do a cutback on this small straight to 8?
Let's have a look then as the cars run nose to tail towards the kink at 7. They come. Ibanez having had his first proper bid, really being fully alongside, but the BMW able to repel that, and that's how Ebrahim get away from Vesler, who's busy defending. The lead gap is only 1.2 seconds now with 7 minutes to go, and if Ebrahim is released, he doesn't have to defend for the sister car. He can go after the Audi. In the end, if you think about it, normal service resumes, really, doesn't it? Because there's nothing Ibanez can do. Even up at turn 10, he closes again, but can't find a way through that.
That's a great camera angle to show why you shouldn't be doing those half looks at 10. It narrows it off as this battle rages on in the mid-pack. What have we got here? We've now got Buving losing a place back, I think, in Pro-Am. Safronov is back past the BMW of Nicolai as well, and David is right in the mix of this Pro-Am second place battle as Buving takes it back, but potentially is going to get the cutback done on him. And
also in the middle of all of this, with now Safronov having got himself up past Sergio Nicolai, that means there are 2 cars between the top 2 in Pro-Am. So there, the Aston Martin of the class leading Stanislav Safronov. That's the opposition, number 6 BMW, trying to go around the outside of Adrien David's Toyota, but he keeps on coming, does Vasily Vladikin. He's on the wrong line, really, and the Supra leans on him. Adrien David bouncing into the side of the BMW, and more contact, and around it goes. Adrien David yet again is involved in an incident. Up into second in class goes Victor Buving. Mayhem breaks out as they try and scatter around the outside of Vasily Vladikin, who's going to be furious about that. you could argue maybe he put himself in jeopardy by being on the outside. But again, David, there were 2 bits of contact there.
Yeah, David's definitely got the aggression levels there, hasn't he? And I feel the first contact was racing against him. The second one, which spun him, I think David has gone in hot there. You can see his car is leaving the apex. If he's keeping it on top of the curb, I think it's the BMW's fault for closing the angle. I think that's on the Toyota. David, he's got in too quick and he's rotated their BMW. So if he wasn't loaded up by the Mustang on the first incident on Charlie Hart, that one I think will get a penalty.
So that is big disappointment for the car of Vasily Vladikin. He and Mikhail Loboda have been going well, but it also takes a bit of the pressure off Stanislav Safronov, doesn't it? Because that's one fewer car to come up and attack. Paolo Maloney is being given a time penalty for causing a collision. Paolo Maloney and Davide Maloney's BMW that hit the car of Van der Ende and Lessan a little while back. There, Hadrian David, I think there's something in the system for him, surely, after the dramas he's been having, and he's now got that Victor Bouveng BMW behind him.
Yeah, Safronov will be the happiest man at all of this has happened, hasn't it? At one point I thought this guy was going to have the pace to catch him up, but luckily for him, Ratchkin's pulled away and isn't holding him up anymore. The lead gap now back up to 1.5. Banya's still all over the back of Bessler, like he has been really for the whole stint.
Charlie Hart's McLaren out of the race. That's pitted with all its damage and penalties. As you look there at Victor Bouveng coming up towards the end of the lap. In 14th place now, by the way, is 317 BMW, which is the car of Jean-Mathieu Leandri, which has benefited a bit from other people's problems, but it's way up the road as far as the AM battle is concerned. And the second placed AM car has got penalties anyway that need to be factored in at the end of the race. And the end of the race, 4 minutes away. Lariche to Ibrahim is still a second and a half. Benjamin Lariche doing just enough to maintain that gap.
Yeah, he stopped the rut, didn't he? That seemed to be hurting his lead and potential win. And it looks closer than 1.3. The BMW coming into its favoured sector there. But Ibanez, where's Bessler gone?
They're in the background. There. BMW slow. So we've lost one of the BMWs. And as the cars come into view, it is the Beke Bessler car that's had a slow first section and has had a moment. So finally, Ibanez is up into third place. Now, was there an incident between the two, or is this a BMW with a problem? You can see how much time it's lost, and it's got a problem. It's limping, isn't it?
Yeah, so something not right on the rear right. Looking at it quickly there.
A little bit of damage, isn't there?
Okay, there. Interesting, Ibanez's first sector was unaffected time-wise, so maybe there wasn't contact, maybe it was a mistake, maybe it is a problem, but yeah, that car, something's not right about it, as now Gilbert gets past.
It's looking low, isn't it? It's got a deflating tyre maybe on the right front, possibly. It's another slow middle sector, but I just thought as the car came into view, that front right doesn't look as well pressured as the others. Here's the replay. He's way out wide coming onto that back straight out of turn 6, fights the car back onto the circuit. Sorry, that was 15, wasn't it? Apologies. Coming into 16, he's wide again, but that front right tyre doesn't look right to me.
No, I'm still trying to look at what potential issue there is. It was the sector 1 that was slow. This is sector 3, so I don't know if all those curb strikes have gone a bit.
It's low. Tyre's gone. There's smoke coming out of the front right, so I'm sure it's a deflating tyre. And although he's got to try and limp onto the end, the tyre has gone down on the right front for Beke Bessler, and Josh Rattigan is now right up behind. He's about to gain another place. So it's a tyre issue that has affected Beke Bessler, and he limps on, but the tyre has gone.
Surprised he didn't pit. He's had a lap to know he's got some form of issue. Even limping it to the end, he's going to lose more time, potentially a lot more damage as well.
Everyone's going to come streaming past, so Beke Bessler limps on. Whether it was him going off that damaged the tyre or the tyre going down that put him off, discuss. But now he's got to try and limp home, and there's another lap to go at the end of this because, well, we've got just a minute 40 on the clock. There's more contact involving Maloney, this time against the 32B Porsche, the car of Hendrik Still. So Davide Maloney again getting out his elbows, and now off the road has gone number 1, which is the Mustang in the hands of Nathan van Springel. That looks like it's gone off down at turn 1, so it's in the first sector. Maloney in the meantime against Hendrik Still up the inside and goes through, gets the job done, but again there's a penalty in the system for that BMW anyway. It's going to take a long time to unravel everything at the end of the race as the Porsches now go toe to toe. Hendrik Still battling with Vinny Beltramelli, and Still just ahead. Still
Exactly that, and this is for 5th place in the class, but probably 4th once that Maloney BMW gets a penalty. There's the BMW going very slowly. Odlava Bessa was slightly more offline than that, to be honest. The speed delta will be huge. And that Mustang in the grubber, is that going to cause a full course yellow? Or are we going to race to the end?
Well, the end is 38 seconds away. The leader is on his last lap, so I think they're going to try and cover that just with a waved yellow flag. They don't need to move the car to keep the race alive. They just need to get one more lap out of it, and then the car can be moved post-race. The Porsches are battling, and Benke Besler is going to limp to the pit lane, but there's probably very little point in him going back out, because by the time they put a tyre on, this car may well have taken the checkered flag. Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consonny then are on target for yet another win. They have come so close to winning this championship in the past. They have come into it this year, runners-up last year, determined to win. They're going to be on target for win number 4 here. And the fact they were still in the hunt last year, going into the last race in Jeddah, was impressive in itself. But this year they have come out, got rid of all the bad luck. They've been so careful not to attract any penalties. That was another blight last year. And the car well run, well driven, and he's going to take a 4th win, and they're going to stretch that margin hugely in the Silver Cup.
Yeah, and the Henry David Toyota is not going to get a penalty for that contact at turn 14 with Vladikin of the 96 as well.
So the cars here make that run up into turn 15. So for Team Speed Car, they're going to do the double here, and it is another impressive weekend for Benjamin Lariche, for Robert Consonny for Team Speed Car. Up towards the line comes Audi number 3, and a race win for Team Speed Car for Benjamin Lariche, for Robert Consonny. They win at Misano, to the delight of Robert Consonny then, hanging over the pit wall. That car victorious, and second will go the way of Pedro Ebrahim and Yagish Gedich. Third, Luke Ibanez and Alex Papadopoulos. And then after that, we need to count them across the line in the classes and see what gives, because for Pro-Am honours for the second time this weekend, it should be Stanislav Safronov and Alexander Weintraub. They come through now, gaining places towards the end as well, with others in strife. Josh Rattigan's McLaren then 38th to 8th. So a good effort between him and Mackenzie Cresswell. It is Safronov and Weintraub winning in Pro-Am. Victor Bouveng and Joachim Walder taking second and third, despite the spin. Vasily Vladikin and Mikhail Loboda. An Am win for Jean-Mathieu Leandri and Anthony de Barn. Second, Max Kronberg and Daniel Blickler. Third, the Brunhagen family, Toyota Supra number 55. But one track limit warning in the end for Benjamin Lariche, but that was still a pretty impressive drive by him and Robert Consonny. And that's a massive boost to them within the championship. The Team Speed Car squad busy celebrating. Paul Petit and Greg Gilvert's car coming home in 4th place. Paul Petit with his back to us. Greg Gilvert brought that one home in 4th spot. And Robert Consonny celebrating as well. In front of course, the GT3 winning team of last night, Team WRT. So success breeding success there.
Lucky garage, isn't it?
It must be.
Yep, led every single lap of the race they were on track for. So dominant display, good for the championship, and yeah, they really look pretty formidable right now in terms of this European GT4 championship.
Absolutely right. So then the cars here on the run back to the pit lane. So Adrien David out of the race as well. So bypassing any penalties by not finishing. Quite a lot of rubber, quite a lot of debris on the road, with still a busy afternoon of racing here at the Misano circuit. And there, Robert Consonny, Benjamin Lariche's Audi. It's Benjamin Lariche bringing it home and getting closer to that seemingly elusive GT4 European Series title. But this year they have just got everything right. Reliability has been there, kept out of trouble in terms of incidents, kept out of trouble in terms of penalties, and looking very strong indeed. There is the Alexander Weintraub, Stanislav Safronov, number 7 Aston Martin, winning in Pro-Am. They did have a warning flag for track limits, but no penalty applied, so that's good to hang on to a class win. And 12th overall, Jean-Mathieu Leandri and Anthony de Barn, the winning Am combination. So down the pit lane comes the Aston. The SRO officials ready to wave the cars into place. One line for P1, one line for P2, one line for P3 across the classes. There is the Stanislav Safronov, Alexander Weintraub Aston. Vasily Vladikin being told we need you there for a third place in class. That's the winning car in silver. And as we've been saying over the course of the weekend, the course of the season, the Audi R8 may not be the youngest GT4 car, but it's still a turnkey winner.
Yeah, it is very good. Very slow in lap. That's the problem for the officials. They're lining him up. They're waiting for this car to get past. So some of the Pro-Am cars having to be pushed to one side. But
drivers then with the team around them, mechanics, management. The team speed car squad has been a mainstay of the French GT4 and GT4 European Series scene for the last few seasons. And Robert Consani, a happy man for sure. Benjamin Lariche, balaclava off, earpieces out. And reflecting on how the car was, what the track was like. It was never a massive gap, was it? Even at the end, it was only 1.6 seconds, but Benjamin Lariche managed it perfectly.
Yeah, I think he did. I was worried with 10 minutes to go, but maybe that was him just looking after the tyre, making sure he got enough pace at the end if needed. And I can't really pick fault of their race at all for the number 3 Audi.
So our race winners do the double this weekend. Rinse and repeat almost. A winner's interview from yesterday. Well, here's a fresh one. Alex Legui is with our race winners.
GT4 European Series, powered by Rafa, was controlled, dominated by you two once again. My goodness me, Benjamin, that stint was just brilliant.
Yes, it was. At the beginning of my stint, it was the car was perfect, but after the 10 last minutes, it was difficult. I lost the traction, I lost the brake, but yes, very positive. We keep our advantage, and few many times we lost the title at Misano. Maybe this year it could be the good point to be champion.
It certainly feels like it. Robert, talk us through that opening stint. That first lap was just brilliant. You were great off the line. It must fill you with a lot of confidence for the rest of the season.
Yes, I push a lot for the start, but the car is completely perfect. I can push, so I'm happy for the championship. We are on the good way. Now we have always 2 races, so 2 meetings, so you need to continue to score a maximum point.
Would you like to say a word to your fans en français?
On est super content, on gagne 2 fois ici, ça nous a jamais porté vraiment chance de briller à Misano. On est à chaque fois monté sur le podium, mais on n'a jamais gagné. Là, on fait un week-end parfait, on fait une pole de victoire. La voiture était parfaite, notre team Speedcar a fait une Audi vraiment bien. On s'est battu dans de bonnes conditions. Franchement, on est vraiment content du championnat, de notre position. Et maintenant, il reste deux meetings difficiles et on va essayer de continuer à se battre comme on l'a fait jusqu'à maintenant pour espérons être champion cette année.
Merci. Congratulations.
So well done, Robert Consani and Benjamin Lariche, and that increases their championship advantage. It's going to make them very hard to stop. Now, the race control team still working through the system. Bekke Besseler's BMW limped home, by the way, in 29th and last place after that puncture. The pit stop for Alberto Nasca and Stefano D'Aste under investigation. They stopped just before the window opened. That's what's being looked at there. But as far as the team speed car concerned, no worries at all. 1.6 seconds the winning margin, and a second win of the weekend and a 4th of the season for Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consani.
Boys, another dominant win. Boys, another dominant win. That feels like a real statement from you guys.
It's a good weekend. We have a very sad weekend in Spa, so it's good to come back on the first.
I guess this gives you a lot of confidence to the second half of the season.
Fantastic weekend, fantastic course, and thank you, my brother Anthony De Barn, and see you next time.
Well done, boys. Enjoy your podium.
Our AM winners also doing the double, Anthony Debarn and Jean-Mathieu Leandri. And there is that BMW 12th overall. That's quite a result, although again there were a lot of late race incidents that affected the silvers more than the other classes. So the car getting up the order. Showing tribute on the door, you see, to the cartoon fictionalised racing driver Michel Vaillant. So that BMW winning in AM. Pro-Am was a win for Stanislav Safronov and Alexander Weintraub with the Aston Martin. And they also do the double. So the three class winners the same across the weekend.
Boys, again, another statement drive there. You kept out of the chaos. It was all going on around you, but a nice, good, clean win.
Yeah, everything is fine. Car is perfect. Thank you for the team. And Alex made today a very good job. Save tires and win, how to say?
It was a good, clean stint.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was very challenging. Twisty track, very hot, and managing the tires. Sometimes you need to get out of the slipstream. Car was overheating always, but great team effort. Thanks to the team, and thanks a lot.
Loving watching your progress, boys.
So congratulations to Stanislav Safronov, Alexander Weintraub doing a good job in the number 7 Aston Martin. That car coming home for its second Pro-Am win of the season and indeed of the weekend. Another out of the Mirage Racing fleet. So a job well done, that's for sure. Let's look at the provisional underlined result. Benjamin Larouche and Robert Consani, the winners, from Pedro Ibrahim and Yagish Gedik. Luke Ibaniev and Alex Papadopoulos taking third. Greg Gilver and Paul Petit fourth, ahead of Alas Niskanen and Mark Kasilic. Sixth, Eric Evans and Marco Signoretti. They certainly benefited towards the end with others' dramas, ahead of Baudouin Detou and Clement Zeiler. Josh Rattigan and Mackenzie Cresswell, 38th to 8th, ahead of Sergio Nicolai and Tudor Tudoraci, with Safronov and Weintraub winning Pro-Am in 10th and 12th. Jean-Mathieu Leandri and Anthony Debarn, they, of course, the winning AM partnership. Still a few things to be investigated, so this might not necessarily be the final result, but after a puncture also down to 19th, recovering Ricardo van der Ende and Benjamin Lessen, they had a spin as well, which wasn't their own doing. They got tapped into it. 24th, the Lotus of Daste and Nasca. That's being looked at for the pit stop being potentially before the window was open. And last of all, with that puncture, Berke Besler limping around for the last couple of laps, but that car, with all the air out of the tyre, limped to the end. So the podiums are coming. We'll head there in a moment. Race 2 in GT4 European Series began with Robert Consani taking the advantage on the way down towards turn 1. 38 cars in total wriggling their way through the first sequence of corners. Benjamin Lessen making a good move up into second place in the BMW, but it wasn't going to be long before that car was in trouble, and it would be in the pits as well, with a right rear tyre needing to be changed. That shuffled the order as well, allowing the bright blue Borusan Automotive BMWs up the order. Paul Petit was involved in a big battle early doors with Yagish Gedik. He would find a way through into third place. One or two others have got damaged, including the Mojica brothers, Ginetta. That battled on despite the damage and did at least get to the end and scored points in its class. Ajith Kumar, though, sadly was a retirement coming through turn 2, concentrating on his own line, suddenly looked up and found a stationary BMW in the way. And that brought out a full course yellow and a safety car. It delayed the pit window, which, when it opened, was taken early by the number 11 Gedik Ibrahim BMW, and that would jump ahead of the sister car on the pit stops. Gabriele Piana relaying Berke Besler, who eventually had a tyre go down, and he limped to the end in 28th place. A big slide, though, by the number 12 BMW. That allowed Luke Ibaniev up the inside, and with the right front deflating, it became an ever more difficult car to drive. Eventually, it just had to limp around, and Berke Besler brought the car home. But a penalty for Stefano Daste gifted it one more place. But untroubled, a dominant weekend. 2 out of 2 for Robert Consani and Benjamin Larouche for the Team Speed Car Audi team. And the drivers already on the podium. So we have Luke Ibaniev and Alex Papadopoulos, third yesterday, third today. Also there are Pedro Ibrahim and Yagish Gedik. And the top step, again, for Team Speed Cars, Robert Consani and Benjamin Larouche. So for Benjamin Lariche, for Robert Consonny, it is another win. There's also the point to each of them for pole position. The fastest lap went to Luc Ibanez, but what it has certainly helped to do is increase that championship advantage as Andrea Albani, the managing director of the Misano World Circuit, presents the trophies to Alex Papadopoulos and to Luc Ibanez. Then for second place to Yagish Gedik, the Turkish driver, and the Brazilian Pedro Ibrahim, who we've seen in GT3 as well as GT4 this season. And they uphold the Borisan honour. Not the first time we've seen BMWs in tyre strife at the Misano circuit, but for Team Speed Car, no trouble whatsoever. Not only is the car winning the race, but there's not a single investigation around it, and only one track limit transgression. Robert Consonny has his trophy in hand, so now also Benjamin Lariche, two very happy drivers to round out a dominant display at Misano this weekend. The champagne is sprayed, and the drivers then will make their way off that podium in a few moments' time to allow the Pro-Ams and the Ams to step forward. So the Team Speed Car squad, having had bad luck here last year with damage, with penalties, and that seemed to sum up the whole season, really. This year coming good across both races, and that championship advantage being increased. So the drivers, soaked in the champagne, make their way off the podium. That will be made ready for Pro-Am. In terms of the global competition, BMW M ahead of Porsche, Toyota third, Mercedes AMG fourth, and McLaren fifth in the standings. That's how we are looking in the GT4 manufacturers contest after this second race here at Misano. And away from the noise and bustle of the circuit, serenity in the hills. Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consonny now way clear in the championship with nearly double the point score of Marco Signoretti and Eric Evans. Gabriele Piano and Bekke Bessler two back in third, ahead of Papadopoulos and Ibanez in fourth. But it's really now second in silver where the interest lies. That's traded back and forth over the course of this weekend. And you can see how many different point scorers we've had over the course of the season. One or two teams dropping in for occasional races, but the series continuing to give good grids and very good racing as the Pro-Am drivers now step up to the podium steps with a crew of Vasily Vladikin and Mikhail Loboda taking third. Second, Joachim Walder and Victor Bouveng and Alexander Weintraub and Stanislav Safronov going to the top step of that podium for the Mirage Racing team. The French Mirage Racing team reflected through the national anthem, and the drivers then put their winners' caps back on, and the trophies brought as ever in the reverse order for Vasily Vladikin and Mikhail Loboda. Then it could have been a different story but for the contact, but for the spin, but that's all part and parcel of these rather frantic races. Second place to another BMW partnership, Victor Bouveng and Joachim Walder. Andrea Albani from the circuit is the man responsible for the trophies being presented, but then another win for Mirage Racing, Stanislav Safronov and Alexander Weintraub. A bit like buses, these wins. Suddenly you get one and then another one follows in quick succession. The winning rookie on the podium as well, you can see.
Ovviamente vogliamo incensare anche il rookie debuttante di questo appuntamento, un pilota che arriva dalla Scandinavia, dalla Danimarca, Julius
Dinesen is the rookie that you can see at the far end of the podium, receiving his trophy, the best rookie of the weekend. So well done to Julius Dinesen, who was in the wards rather at Spa, an accident in the practice session, putting him out for the weekend, and a replacement car and indeed replacement co-driver had to be found for the remainder of that weekend. The champagne is ready for the winning drivers in Pro-Am and indeed the winning rookie. So Julius Dinesen making a bit of a hash of opening the bottle. Was it stuck? Oh, now it's gone. So he joins in the celebrations. But Julius Dinesen new to all this podium lark. And there, Victor Bouveng, a happy man with his trophy. He and Joachim Walder coming home second in Pro-Am, posing for photographs. As far as the championship is concerned, even though it's been a poor weekend by their high standards, Hendrik Still and Joachim Bolting continue to lead from Safronov and Weintraub. Joachim Walder and Victor Bouveng now are third. The latest duo of Alberto Nasca and Stefano D'Aste come next from winners early on in the year, Nico Ferreira and Vinny Beltramelli. So that Pro-Am fight is another one I think that's going to go down to the wire. Safronov and Weintraub on a roll really now, and they're going to be well worth watching as the championship battle continues. And the final podium is going to be for the AMS. There for third place, Mikael and Christopher Brunhagen, the Toyota Supra drivers. For second place, stepping forward now, Max Kronberg and Daniel Blichler. They've had a tough weekend. Indeed, all the Porsche teams seem to have struggled a little bit for pure pace. And the category winners, Anthony Debarn and Jean-Mathieu Leandri. Again, another double and two very happy drivers. And 12th overall for an AM winning car is quite something.
And to be that clear of the opposition, they've been dominant.
So for the winning drivers in and the winning team in AM, the national anthem, if you look surreptitiously to the other end of the podium, you will see second placed crew getting ready with the champagne. Max Kronberg and Daniel Blichler don't seem that interested in trophies because already cork out of bottle, and it's gone a bit soon for Daniel Blichler there. So the thanks for the trophies, but they want to get on with this champagne fight. Never mind photographs, let's just spray, they say. But an excellent season this is turning out to be for Jean-Mathieu Leandri and Anthony Debarn. Winners again in AM. There are the trophies. Anthony Debarn, trophies in the air. Everyone huddles together for the photographs, and the Chazelle Technology Course team taking that team's award. Right, now the champagne is ready, and this is where Daniel Blichler gets his own back on everybody for beating him over that second race of the weekend. And as far as the championship is concerned, he is 21 points behind Leandri and Debarn with the help of Max Kronberg, and then third, Mikael Brunhagen and Christopher Brunhagen, the Toyota drivers. Great racing as ever then in the GT4 European Series. It's goodbye from Misano.